Hey guys, welcome to Chef Grace's place. So today I'm gonna make Italian gravy. For those of you who only know gravy as that thing you put on your mashed potatoes for Thanksgiving dinner, gravy is the red meat sauce that you put on pasta, or in this case I'm gonna put it on my ravioli. Anyway, so Italian food is very near and dear to my heart because I'm Italian, but also, you know, the first people that really taught me how to cook were the Italian people I grew up with. When my brother used to be friends with this kid Anthony, and his mom Rose was one of the best Italian cooks I knew, and she would take me into the kitchen and she taught me how to make sauce when I was like a little kid. I don't know, maybe 10, 11, something like that. But you know, the boys were always mean and they wouldn't let me play with them. And I wanted to be a chef anyway, so you know, she taught me how to make sauce. She taught me how to pick basil. The memories I have around Italian food and, you know, making gravy in particular are some of the best memories I have. I mean, even my friend Josh, his mother taught me how to make eggplant parmesan. So even though, you know, my mom is Irish, my father was Italian, unfortunately I didn't get the time with him to learn whatever he knew how to cook. If he, you know, he knew how to cook, but there was always some secret Renat's family sauce that I was supposed to learn that I never got the chance to learn. So, you know, this is gonna be my family recipe, and it really comes from all of those families that took me into their kitchens and taught me how to cook. And, you know, the best ingredient that they cooked with was their love, you know, their love for family, their love for food. And being able to share that with someone who wasn't really in their family but made them feel like family was, you know, I'll never forget that. And there's so many, even, you know, my friend Allie's grandma taking me in to learn how to make the sausage. Her dad is a phenomenal cook. Every time I was over there, he's cooking, you know, I'm always being nosy, trying to figure it out. Everyone knew I wanted to be a chef growing up, and they were always welcoming me into the kitchen, and that was really, you know, one of, you know, some of the best memories from my childhood are other people's parents teaching me how to cook. So thank you to all those people, and you know, every time I make this sauce, I think about these guys. All right, so that said, you know, this sauce is kind of a combination of everything that I've learned, and I know it's not anyone in particular's family sauce, and your sauce is better, and I get it, because you know, when it comes to Italian food, your mama's cooking is always going to be the best cooking, and I'm not trying to compete with that. But here's just a basic meat sauce. Most important thing in Italian cooking, or really any cooking, is the quality of ingredients, because you can't polish a turd. The ingredients don't taste great to begin with. They're not gonna taste great at the end. They might just taste okay, right? You're not gonna get anything phenomenal out of something that doesn't taste good. So I have some ground beef and ground pork, you know, no hormones, no antibiotics, all that stuff. If you have a good Italian butcher, you probably will be able to get some good stuff. I have pork in here because pork has a lot more fat than grass-fed beef, and it really helps with that salty and umami kind of flavor. Next up, I have onions and garlic, just chopped up. I like my sauce more chunky because that's just kind of more what I grew up with. But I have my spices, right? I love oregano, so that's probably the main Italian seasoning in here. I also have some dried basil and sage from my garden that I'm gonna throw in. Another thing is I have some Italian herb seasoning. So you might be thinking, what is she using, you know, pre-mixed Italian seasoning for? And there's one ingredient that maybe you guys can help me out with, but I can't find marjoram by itself anywhere. And I really feel like it helps, you know, it really brings the whole thing together. If I had a marjoram plant, then I would have everything in here. Before I go on a rant about marjoram, you want to make sure that the ingredients in your Italian herb seasoning are only oregano, marjoram, thyme, basil, rosemary, and sage. And you want to make sure that they're generally in that order, because when ingredients are listed on anything in the United States, they're always from what the most is to what the least is. And we got some canned tomato products. They're a better option than fresh tomatoes at a grocery store, because usually those are like greenhouse gassed and they're not really as ripe and flavorful as the stuff that gets put in here. I'm not too picky about the brand, honestly. I really just want to read the ingredients and make sure the only thing in here is tomatoes. That's the most important part. Maybe a little bit of salt, but that's it. This is really about price point for me. Most grocery stores will have can sales. I know ShopRite does the can. Usually tomato products are like 10 for 10. I go to the grocery store and I stock up on all my like tomato puree, diced tomatoes, tomato paste in one shot, because you know, $1 a can, you can't beat that. So also remember to open all your cans before you start at the stove, because you don't want to be put in that situation. Next up is the wine, right? So I have some cheaper wine, Yellowtail. You know, it tastes okay. It's pretty good. And I don't really like their white wines, but their red wines I feel are a lot better, a lot bolder, which is good for the sauce. And then this is for me, because when you're cooking Italian food, you should always have a glass of wine. And last but not least, the controversial carrot. I put this in at the very end. You know, I cut it in half and then just drop it in. And this kind of balances out the acidity in the sauce. Some people add a tablespoon of sugar. I prefer the natural sugar from the carrot because I don't want my sauce to be overly sweet. But I do feel like it needs, just to get that edge off, to be rounded out so you can taste all the different flavors in the sauce. I know this is gonna be controversial, but I'm gonna put it in anyway. And that, I know that sauce, that family recipe I never got to learn, the only thing I know about it is that there was a carrot in it. Alright, so now we're ready to go on the stove. We're all meased up. So let's go make some gravy. Alright guys, so I'm here at the stove. Gonna get my pan nice and hot. I'm gonna put a little oil in the pan and then get my meat in there and really get it nice and brown. We're getting hot. And this is why you want to use a wooden spoon, because it's gonna be able to break up the meat. Oh, that might be a little too much oil. Shit. But I'm gonna go with it. Alright. Another thing I want to mention too is I'm using Spanish onions, but I actually really prefer this recipe with shallot. It comes out really good, especially with the pork. So now I have a kind of like crunchy bottom layer, and I'm going to start breaking it up. So there's a lot of liquid in the bottom, and that's going to have to boil off for me to get more caramelization a little bit. But that's not bad. That's good. Alright, now I'm going to add in my onions and my garlic, because this is also going to keep, it's got to cook the water out of the onions and the garlic too. Can't forget about that. Alright, Alright, so I'm starting to get some fonts on the bottom. I'm going to add my tomato paste. And pretty shortly after I add my tomato paste, I'm going to deglaze with the wine. So make sure you have all your stuff ready. I know I was, stirring this and opening cans at the same time, so don't make the mistake I made and warned you guys about. Not opening your cans before you start. You always gotta check for hot spots because I have way more cons on this side than I did on this side. That's why I had to turn it. Alright, I'm ready for my wine. Down the side always. Alright, about a cup. Alright, I'm gonna add more wine. We got lots of fonts. Alright. Really scrape the bottom. Alright, this is the base of the sauce. I just turned the heat off. I have this electric stove and it's not as easy as to manipulate as gas. So I really just needed to cool it down. You can see the burner is still very hot. So it's kind of like I still have it on, but a lower flame, so to speak. I'm constantly turning that thing on and off. So what I'm doing now is I'm scraping all that caramelized bits, all those caramelized bits off the bottom. So they're gonna get into my sauce, and that's really where it's gonna make it taste amazing. So now that I've done that, I'm gonna add my diced tomatoes, my tomato puree, and 2 cans worth of water, and my carrot. And then I'm gonna let it simmer for maybe an hour. But it looks beautiful. I'm gonna get it back on the heat. Got my diced tomatoes. Got my tomato puree. You can see this is way too thick. I'm just gonna put this on low. So if it's too thick, it's gonna pop. You don't want that in your face, it's hot. Make sure you stir it. I got my 1 can. My 2 cans. So as you can see, I measured this up perfectly to fit this pot. Last but not least, the carrot. And toss it in there. Okay, so when I come back and check on it, I'm also gonna check the seasoning if it needs more salt and pepper. I season the meat pretty good with salt and pepper, but always check. That's what's gonna really elevate your cooking. Constantly taste and adjust. My sauce has been simmering maybe like an hour and a half, maybe. It's good to eat now. Like the flavors are there, it's good. But if you want to go from like good, this is delicious, to like incredible, just let it reduce a little bit more. One of the ways that I like to tell that my sauce has reduced enough for this particular recipe, remember that big carrot we threw in there? So once I can cut through that carrot with the wooden spoon, I know I'm good. It's done. Which can take like 3-4 hours, honestly. This is gonna taste great right now. I'm so excited to have some ravioli. I'm hungry. It's about 8:30, so it's dinner time. So I'm gonna boil my ravioli. I'm gonna show you that really quick. We did the handmade ravioli video. This is the ravioli from that video. So I just want to, show you how to cook that after you take it out of the freezer. I got my ravioli straight from the freezer. One thing you want to remember is because it's frozen, when you put something frozen and something boiling, it's going to lower the temperature of it. So we don't want to put too many in at a time. Just as if you were putting this in the deep fryer, you wouldn't want to put too many in at a time. Just deep fried ravioli, it's not a bad idea. And I'm going to put them in just like I did with the pappardelle. Right, I'm going to put them in a basket and lower them. And then I'm going to put them in my bowl with some sauce so they all stick together. Alright, so I got 10 ravioli. I'm going to lower it in. And when they start to rise up, that's when I'm gonna know that they're done. Or that they have an air bubble and they're gonna explode. We'll see. Beautiful for when Noel comes home. Might have to eat one though. Handmade pasta.